There's never been a better time to get outside and experience the benefits of nature. Discover nearby trails and explore the outdoors with All Trails. Download the free app today and find your outside.
They say I talk too much, say I ask the wrong things, but if the truth feels weird, then I'm pulling that string. So quote me, it's probably nothing, just asking questions, yeah, that's my thing. Laughing through chaos, digging through lies, if it makes you uncomfortable, I'm doing it right. So quote me, it's probably nothing, say it too loud, now it's stuck in your head. If this all goes wrong, just remember I said it's probably nothing.
Hello, welcome. I was going to try and sound like one of those like fancy voice things that are in fancy places, like welcome to the elevator. You know what I'm talking about? I was trying to do that, but yeah, it didn't work out too well. But welcome back to Don't Quote Me, It's Probably Nothing, the podcast where I get high and talk about weird stuff. I'm Kelly, and did you guys know that my name is actually Kellyanne? Isn't that weird? It sounds weird just to say it, but I just go by Kelly because I'm only called Kellyanne when like I'm in trouble or something. Anyway, welcome back to the podcast where I get weird. For sure. I'm super excited to talk about what I'm talking about today because we're talking about Project Looking Glass, which means I get to talk about all of the things. And I'm so excited about it. I think I already said that, but I just told you again. You guys might hear like loud booms and stuff. And the reason that you might hear that is because there's a thunderstorm outside right now. We've been having some crazy thunderstorms because of how hot it is here. And it's wild. For sure. But I do love a good storm, but only in the fall. You know, I like them in the summer too, because like, I don't know, thunderstorms are relaxing. Maybe it's the rain sound. But anyway, today I get to talk about like secret government technology and possible alien technology and timelines and portals and 2012 and all of the fun things. That's why I'm so excited to tell you about it. Now, before I continue, I'm just saying allegedly now because I have to. So allegedly to everything I'm saying so that I don't have to keep saying it. Allegedly. So let's get weird, shall we? I just wanted to be like, my lady. I have a funny story. You know what? I already told you the story, so I'm not going to tell you. It's the story about when we were in Jamaica and Jim was snorkeling and that huge fish was circling him. When we were on the boat, people who work there, I guess, call all the women my lady. They say my lady. And when I was holding onto the boat with my foot, like I had my foot hooked onto the boat so I didn't float away. I was rocking the boat and they came over and they were like, my lady, what are you doing? And like, it really made me feel like I was in The Princess Bride or something, you know? Like, I don't know. It just felt good to hear someone say my lady. It felt Renaissance fair-ish. I don't know what time period that was. I mean, I do, but my brain can't think right now. Can anybody else's brain not think when they're high? Because like, I think I know things sometimes and then I get high and I'm like, you know what? Maybe I don't know things. But anyway, let's talk about stuff. So Project Looking Glass is basically a theory that the government had access to this device that could see through time, and not like time travel, but like a viewing device. And it's said that it's able to show like possible future events and past events or alternate timelines. And in most versions of this theory, this device, it's like connected to classified military programs, Area 51, and a facility called S4 near Papoose Lake, which I don't know where Papoose Lake is. Maybe someone out there does. I just think the name's kind of funny because it rhymes with caboose, you know? And I always thought caboose was a funny word. So I also thought caboodle is also a funny word. I'm thinking maybe it's the words that have double O's. For some reason, they just make me want to giggle when I see them. I don't know why. But anyway, the S4 overlaps with a lot of UFO stories because it's also the location that's tied to claims about reverse engineered alien technology. But also, what even is that? I'm assuming based off the name, it's like technology that the government found from aliens that don't exist Yes, I used air quotes there. And then they took it and then they constructed it, like took it apart and then tried to put it back together to see how it works, maybe to create their own stuff, you know? So Area 51 obviously has aliens, even though they're like, there's no aliens in here. But have you ever guys heard of the book Behold a Pale Horse? I read it. I gave it away to a college professor and then never got it back. And it's so hard to find on the internet now. Like you can't even get it off of Amazon. But you know where you can probably get it? Temu. I think I saw it on there one time when I was scrolling. But anyway, why am I telling you this? Oh, yeah. Maybe the government did that. And that's why we have Area 51, because they're testing all of these, these technologies and stuff. So there, I just answered my own question, which is probably wrong, by the way. But anyway, the basic idea is that Project Looking Glass wasn't invented from scratch by like regular human scientists, but was based on alien technologies, recovered ancient technology, or something reverse engineered from the devices that were not originally built by us. So the device itself is described as being able to like bend or manipulate time and space. And some versions say it's used plasma, electromagnetic fields, or counter-rotating mercury to create a kind of like distortion field. And then through that field, operators can view the future probabilities or like these things like timeline branches. But also the way that's described, it reminds me of like in Harry Potter when there's like that thing that like kind of looks like a bird bath. Maybe not. Maybe it's a cauldron. I don't know. And like they put the drops of stuff in there. Is it tears that they put in there? Anyway, and then Harry sticks his face in there and then he sees like different events that happened or will happen in the future. You know what? That sounds a lot like this. But that's also why I explained that, because that's what it reminded me of. Also, I should warn you now, I may have taken an extra hit or two of the Lord's lettuce because I had a couple extra pretzels. Why does that matter? Because they're super crunchy. And for some reason, when I'm high, I like things that crunch. Like I want to just like crunch on stuff, Which also, this might be a little TMI. But it's also why I don't offer my husband blowies when I'm high, because I'm just going to want to crunch on it. Is everybody who listens to this, are you guys over 18? I really hope so. But anyway, so the device didn't show like one single guaranteed future. It showed possible futures that had different outcomes and like the different branches. So every major decision could create like a slightly different path. And the machine allowed people to look ahead and see where those paths might lead. So the people who were using the devices were allegedly trying to see which like path we were on as humanity and which events could be changed and which outcomes seemed like unavoidable. Now, supposedly this device became super dangerous because timelines started converging, which, hello, back to having cornucopia on the Fruit of the Loom logo. Anyway, supposedly the people using it saw that no matter what choices were made, certain future outcomes kept like pulling together and reaching that same endpoint. Like no matter what they did, it ended up the same eventually. How about like a life metaphor, right? Because like no matter what happens in this life, we're all going to end up not alive at the end of it. So be a kind human. But anyway, so because of the device becoming dangerous, it was shut down. The project was shut down because it was too risky and disturbing, because it showed that no one could control the future. Me personally, I believe that like everything happens for a reason, even if we don't know what that reason is like in that moment, but we might realize it later down the road, But I forget what I'm trying to say again. My bad. But anyway, so let's talk about the device, like the actual device thing. So it's not like a normal computer or something like that, or like this piece of equipment. It's like, obviously it was a piece of equipment, but it was just like this huge device that could create a distortion in space and time. And it doesn't send someone to like the past or the future, but instead it like opens up a window where people could look through it and see what was happening on the other side. So like I mentioned earlier, the machine sometimes used plasma or electromagnetic fields and counter-rotating mercury, and the mercury or the mercury plasma would spin in opposite directions inside the machine, and then that motion would create a powerful electromagnetic field, and that field would supposedly bend or distort space-time. The distortion is what created the window. And like, you don't walk through it, obviously. You look, because you look through windows. You can't really walk through windows. If you did, it might be a little painful. But anyway, allegedly, the people using the machine would focus on like a certain event or a decision or like some point in time. And then this device would show them possible outcomes connected to what they were specifically looking for. So like if they were looking at a future event, the machine would show multiple versions of how that event could play out. And then like one path would lead one place and another one would lead like somewhere else. And then another one could disappear, maybe. But anyway, I don't know why I said that like that. But like this theory also mentions that consciousness supposedly played a role too. Some say that the person who was operating the machine mattered, like their focus and their intention or even their awareness could affect what the machine showed. So it was like technology mixed with consciousness, which makes it even more wild because like, can you imagine if if you could look out a window and see like the future of how something ends, would you change anything about what happened, about like what you said or did or didn't say or didn't do? Like, would you do that? I don't know if I would. Thinking back on some of my decisions, I don't think I would change a thing because then I wouldn't be on this timeline right here talking to you fine people. Anyway, the images that would form weren't always described as like super perfect and clear. So it's not like something we see with our own eyes, like on TV or something where the picture is really good. They were looking at things that were like glitchy or had symbolic things to them or were like distorted or super duper hard to interpret. So even if people were seeing something, they still had to figure out what it meant. And they had to interpret whether they were looking at an actual future or a possible future or a symbolic version of events or just one timeline out of many. Which, if they're able to see different timelines and they're all going on at the same time, that means we are also on different timelines that are going on at the same time. And we don't know it, obviously, but when we have deja vu, that's when we remember like, oh yeah, I did this before because you did it on another timeline. You know what I'm saying? Do you agree with me? Please say yes. So let's talk about 2012. So I don't know if you guys remember. I'm sure you do if you were like me. But there was this huge idea floating around out there in the world that the world was supposed to end on December 21st of 2012, which I was a little scared. Okay. Like my kids were young. My son was only 2 and well, like 1.5. So like I was still had like mom brain, which may have not gone away. I just remember hearing this and like I was scared. My hormones were all over the place, but I was a little scared. And I was like, what if the world ends? And I was thinking of how I could like hold my children while the world was ending and my dogs. It would be hard to fit them all underneath me. Like, because you know how Elastigirl in The Incredibles, when she turns into a parachute, that's what I imagine myself doing. Just like turning into a parachute and wrapping everyone up. Like Groot did in Guardians of the Galaxy when he saved everyone. That's what I was thinking of. But anyway, so the whole thing came from the Maya long count calendar. And the short version is that December 21st, 2012 marked the end of a major calendar cycle called the 13 Bacton cycle, which I probably pronounced that wrong, but you already know that. So that cycle lasted a little over 5,125 years. So naturally, that would lead to apocalyptic events, clearly, But around that time, there were many theories about what 2012 was supposed to mean. So some people thought that it was going to be a physical apocalypse. And then some people thought the Earth was going to get hit by a rogue planet called Nibiru. And then other people thought that there would be massive solar flares, earthquakes, pole shifts, galactic alignments, or some like huge cosmic disaster, which we are awfully close to that. Because like we've been having tons of solar flares, right? Obviously earthquakes. There was just like 2 earthquakes in Venezuela. And pole shifts, galactic alignments, like the stars align all the time, and planets and stuff like that. But like just recently there was like a whole bunch of planets that were in a straight line, you know? But anyway, there's also like a more spiritual side of it where people thought that 2012 would be like the end of an age where so everyone would have like a consciousness shift or a timeline shift or like a reset. But this is where Project Looking Glass comes in. Allegedly, there was 2 major timelines, timeline 1 and timeline 2. Because why else? What other names would they pick for them? They should have picked cool names like Billy and Bob. That sounds a lot better. You know what? I was thinking of Billy Bob Thornton when I said that. So anyway, so timeline 2 was the bad one. But Billy Bob Thornton, if you ever listen to this, you're not the bad one. Anyway, so timeline 2 was connected to catastrophe, destruction, and like a possible pole shift around 2012. And in that version, the use of Stargate and Looking Glass technology had supposedly made things worse. So the technology was said to have amplified energetic effects while Earth was moving through a particular region of space. And if timeline 2 had actually happened, like the way like it just described it, it would have been like terrible, like catastrophe terrible. So like the main thing connected to this was a pole shift around 2012. And this would have caused Earth's poles to like shift around really aggressively and everything would have been thrown out of balance all at once. And it would have caused massive instability across the planet. And so the Earth's crust, magnetic field, oceans, weather systems, and energy systems would all be affected at the same time. So this could cause huge earthquakes and like volcanic eruptions and tsunamis and like major flooding, extreme storms, and like entire coastlines that would be changed, which again, that sounds an awful lot like today. What do we do? What do we do about this? But anyway, if the Earth's crust shifted suddenly, the ocean water would move like insane. Crazy. Okay. So the tectonic plates would be under insane stress. And then all these fault lines would wake up. And then all these volcanoes could possibly become active like at the same time. And it'd be wild. So whenever they used this device, it's not like they weren't just watching the realities, it was affecting time, space, energy, and like tiny wormhole like phenomena that they call it. So like they weren't just observing the reality, they were literally affecting it. And then that's where amplified energetic effects come in. So that idea is that Earth was moving through a specific region of space. And while that was happening, the machines were creating or increasing energetic stress. So the technology was basically turning a dangerous situation into like a more crazy, more worse one. So the planet was already going through a cosmic pressure point, and then humans, or maybe aliens, were like doing all these things, and it started poking holes in reality, which could mean that the magnetic field could weaken or become unstable, and there could be more radiation getting through, and then satellites would malfunction, and communication systems would go down, power grids would fail, navigation systems could become like unreliable because they rely on like magnetic fields to work, and like all the electronics would act weird. Okay. Hear me out. So you're driving in your car, right? And like your phone starts glitching or your car starts glitching and like you're listening to something and it's being weird. What if, okay, every time that happens, it's because we went to a different timeline or went through a different like portal or something like that, you know? Science is so sciencey and I love it. But anyway, so every time they allegedly would use the device to look at like all of the things, that's when like each time viewing it would add stress to everything. So instead of the timeline being like one straight path, there's like all of these overlapping possibilities that happen. And then the timelines kind of like stack on top of each other. And then future events would bleed into the present. And then people were making choices based on things that they were not supposed to know yet. Like really trying to like correct itself, you know? And powerful people kept trying to like steer it. And then that's where like you have the timeline convergence. So at first, there were different possible futures, but the closer that they got to 2012, then those futures started narrowing down toward that same outcome. And that outcome was timeline 2, which was the disaster timeline. So the people who were looking through the looking glass supposedly saw that no matter what people did, everything kept leading to the same place. And I don't know, man, because like, what if without realizing it, the fact they kept like using all this stuff, that's what created the ending that they're trying to get away from. Turn that into a Marvel movie. Also, Disney, if you're hearing this, I love Disney, and you cannot use that for any of your movies unless I get to do all the Disney things for free for the rest of my life. But anyway, because of all that, the looking glasses and the Stargates were supposedly decommissioned, destroyed, and shut down for safety reasons, which maybe they did not shut them down. So if the technology was making the timeline unstable and amplifying all of these crazy catastrophes, then shutting it down supposedly could help prevent the world's worst possible outcome. But then they were like, okay, well, we have to check. Okay. And then they created this thing called the Orion Cube, and that's another device connected to this whole thing. So the Orion Cube was supposedly used to look at probable future events and figure out which timeline humanity was on. So the big claim with that is that the 2012 catastrophe had been averted. So instead of us staying on timeline 2, we went to timeline 1. And timeline 1 was not perfect either, but it wasn't like the catastrophe that it ended in timeline 2 though. So there's this thing called variant 83. And that was basically one possible future path on timeline 1. But this version had major global instability still, and there was war and political chaos, economic collapse, and then dangerous international conflict, which, guys, come on. I think we're still on timeline 1. Maybe there's a timeline 3 or 4 or 5 or 20,000. But anyway, obviously, December 21st, 2012 came and went because today is July 6th, 2026, and we're still here. So the world did not end physically, and we didn't have an apocalypse, but maybe we did in 2012, and then we're just on another timeline. Because did anyone go through like a major life event right after that, where like one time you're doing fine, and then the next thing your whole life's flipped upside down and everything changes, and you're like, what the heck just happened? Because that maybe. So let's talk about how Project Looking Glass connects to the Mandela Effect. Because why not? This is obviously one of the easiest things with this theory because of all like the timeline changes. So for those of you who don't know what the Mandela Effect is, which again, if you're here, I'm sure you do. So the Mandela Effect is when a large group of people remember something differently than how it actually exists in recorded reality, which I said that in air quotes because I don't agree with that statement. The actually exists part. Because why would so many people remember one thing happening and then another group remembering it differently? You know, so the name comes from Nelson Mandela because a lot of people remembered him dying in prison in the 1980s. But in actual recorded history, Nelson Mandela was released from prison in 1990 and became president of South Africa in 1994 and died on December 5th, 2013. And he was 95, in case you were wondering, which that's super old. My grandpa tells me every single time we drive by this one house on his street, every single time, it could literally be twice in one day. And he'll be like, that guy in there is 92 and he still cuts his own grass. And I was like, I hope I cut my own grass when I'm 92. And he was like, 92? That guy's like 95 or 96. I was like, oh, okay. Because you didn't just tell me 92. Grandpops are so funny. But anyway, then people started remembering like the Bernstein Bears and then the Bernstein Bears, like spelled differently. And then some people thought the Monopoly Man had a monocle, which he did. And then other people remembered like movie lines or logos or brand names or characters different than what they supposedly are. And they try to say that the explanation for this is like false memory, which false memory is a thing, obviously, because human memories isn't like a video recording where like we play it back the same way. They say it's more like a reconstruction, and that every time we remember something, our brain is kind of rebuilding the memory. So details can get filled in or changed or influenced by like other people or mixed with similar emotions. Sorry, I just realized I was talking kind of fast. One, because I was getting excited, but two, I think I smell corn on the cob boiling downstairs, and I'm actually getting a little bit hungry. It's after dinner time, in case you were wondering. But anyway, if the Mandela Effect or Project Looking Glass was showing multiple possible timelines, and those timelines started converging around 2012, then the Mandela Effect becomes this leftover part from that timeline. And that's why people would like remember details that don't match the timeline. Supposedly. I'll say allegedly to that. Did you guys ever see, there was this video on TikTok, I think I talked about it before, but I was telling my kids about it and they were having none of it. They did not believe me, which maybe I am a little gullible, but I was looking at TikTok and there was this video of this family. They were walking out of like their front door, and on the mat, like the front mat that they had on the steps, these glasses appeared out of nowhere. And they said none of them wore glasses. Isn't that wild? Because what happened? Maybe it was fake, but it looked real to me. But anyway, next, let's talk about CERN. And it's like a brief thing, not like a huge CERN episode, which I'm definitely going to do one. But so CERN started running the Hadron Collider before 2012. And that deals with like particle collisions and high energy physics and stuff, and recreating conditions from the early universe. And it connects to reality shifts, black holes, portals, and timeline damage. So you have Project Looking Glass that's viewing timelines, right? And then 2012 was a major timeline convergence point. And then CERN may have affected reality. And then the Mandela Effect is the evidence that everybody notices afterwards. And that is how you go down a rabbit hole, my friend. That was a very short rabbit hole, though. But anyway, back to CERN. So CERN is like a real thing. It's the European Organization for Nuclear Research, and it's near Geneva or Geneva. Is it? What? Is it? Oh, no, that was Genovia, the place from The Princess Diaries. But this place that we're talking about is on the border of Switzerland and France, and is one of the biggest particle physics laboratories in the world. Well, I think I'm supposed to say laboratory, actually. And that's where the Large Hadron Collider is, also called the LHC, and is basically this huge giant underground ring, and it's like 17 miles round, and scientists use it to smash tiny particles together at extremely high speeds. And they do that because when particles collide, they can reveal information about like what matter is made of and how the universe works and what conditions may have been like right after the Big Bang, which that's another episode I'm going to do. Not the Big Bang, but like with CERN, I'll talk about it, but like the thing that they call the God particle. So interesting. I freaking love this stuff. Sorry for my excitement, by the way. Did I ever tell you that I made just about everyone in my family take the autism test? And everybody scored like in the 20s. And I got a 136. Oh, man. Also, if you were wondering, my daughter got a 68. So maybe my 130 something and my husband's 20 something brought her to, or maybe it was a 36 he got, or 35. I don't know, but maybe my score and his score is why she has a middle score. But anyway, so the God particle thing, in 2012, scientists said that they found this new particle that was consistent with the Higgs boson, and the Higgs boson had been theorized for like decades, and it's connected to the Higgs field, which helps explain why some particles have mass. And the media ended up nicknaming it the God particle. And because they named it the God particle, people started like freaking out because it was in 2012, which was the same year that everybody was freaking out about the end of the world and the apocalypse and all that stuff. But anyway, some people think that because they found this particle, that's why timelines changed. after 2012. So before the Large Hadron Collider turned on, people were worried that it could like create microscopic black holes. And black hole sounds terrifying because it's like endless, you know? It feels like it would just never end. But there are some like physics theories that discuss the possibility of microscopic black holes being produced in high energy collisions, which is exactly what that collider thing does. But scientists do think that even if microscopic black holes were created, they would go away like instantly. And one of the reasons they said like this is because that like cosmic rays that hit Earth's atmosphere are energies that are higher than what the collider produces, and Earth has not been swallowed by a black hole yet. So that's their logic on that, if you were wondering. Another one is antimatter. So CERN really does study antimatter, like it's real. It's like matter's opposite counterpart. So like when matter and antimatter meet, they can annihilate each other and release energy. It's like matter is good and antimatter is evil. Matter is Superman and antimatter is Lex Luthor. And then they attack each other and create energy. You know, I feel like if this was explained that way in school, people would remember it more, you know? Which, you guys want to hear something wild? So, outside of CERN, there is a statue of Shiva. And Shiva is a Hindu deity often associated with creation, destruction, and like this cosmic dance thing. And the statue was a gift from India, recognizing India's relationship with CERN and its work in physics. But this is a topic for another episode that I'm going to be doing on like demons and stuff. Girl. This has me like wanting to talk about all of the things, which is why I'm so glad I can do so many episodes of these. Because if I couldn't, do you know how long I would have been talking to you guys for? That would have been a long time. But anyway, because of this statue, that Shiva statue being there, people connect all of this to like occult stuff. And there's an idea that CERN is doing something spiritual or ritualistic under the cover of science. There was also this weird fake like ritual video filmed at CERN in 2016 where it looked like there was like an occult ritual near that statue. And CERN said that it was unauthorized and basically a prank. But what if it wasn't? What if it wasn't a hoax? They're just telling you it's a hoax because there's people out there gullible to believe it, or gullible to believe the opposite. But anyway, there is a wild thing about Project Looking Glass that I want to mention because I came across it during my research and it mentioned the Epstein files. So I'm going to read this document for you, and you can find it on justice.gov. I will add the link in the show notes, and yeah, click on it and read it, and I'm going to read it for you. Okay, so this particular page, it's on like page 49 or 4/9, I should say. Again, the link's at the bottom. So it's like a conversation that just happened to continue onto this page or whatever. So it says, copying redacted, who is a sick, twisted excuse for an actor and who got herself in deep SHIT badly with criminals redacted and redacted. And because I think she'll struggle the most and cause the most uncorked leaks when this SHIT gets started, since she's a dumb devil who can't do spreadsheets while following orders from other child molesting devils. Redacted. Oh, sorry. This is a reply from Redacted. And it says, I'm wearing my hat, Josh, and I have all of the original text too on backups, as does the hypergraph ledger. Checkmate. Easy tell. And this is a reply from the other person, which also says Redacted. And it says, bottom feeder. I'm going to call people a bottom feeder. No, I'm not, because I don't want to say mean things to people because like, you know, I'm trying to get right with the Lord. Okay. And I may or may not have told someone in a text message today in response to something that someone else said that they can just F off. So yeah, maybe if I'm just like, okay, well, they're a bottom feeder, you know, maybe that's a little less mean. But anyway, it says, bottom feeder. I have proof of the BVP emails. I have proof of your emails to me before. I have timestamps. And then you blocked my phone. effing coward. But I'll attach this pref difference for you, since I can assure you there will be pain for you in this. A lot. And this is the other reply. Who will end up playing a role here, as he has, and will be documented for all to see. Attached are first name communications over the years. At end, I will link back to you, but with that out of the way, it's time for context. What this email is about. As I've documented elsewhere, my termination illegally from the company, in addition to acts that are unthinkably criminal, which occurred by those supporting them, mean I am changing the strategy. Because of many of your Silicon Valley criminal ring accomplices already attempted to use your looking glass, SHIT, with redacted and redacted from redacted, I'll let you go back and talk to them in 2020 and try to fix this. So go on a spree with all your devices, finding them and trying to correlate your faked documentation, and don't download any effing child porn in the meantime, because that SHIT is being tracked. Maybe I should have said CP. So if it mentions that later, I'll say CP. When you go through the attachments here, do you really don't think, and in parentheses it says we, don't have mountains of other timestamps with your sick, twisted, occult behavior? I mean, come on. I even have redacted posting as a fake laser parlor person in June 2020. Redacted, people from California don't have 516 numbers, okay, you untrainable criminal moron. This SHIT is going public, all of it, so follow the rules. Declass now, which I'm going to assume that says declassified, but these are numbered. Number 1, it says, below roughly is what I would recommend when this email catches up with you. Attached are deliberate leaks of confidential info and contracts that violate terms of estimate deals, including the deal I signed with Google. If you don't understand yet, I am running SHIT. I started on this long ago, decades ago. The traps I've set are simply mementos. Number 2, I'm copying some other random people just to directly violate the NDAs further and to scorn the threatening fake letter that redacted both sent me and forged my signatures on to eject me out of estimate. You'll have to track down who they are. Sorry if I'm reading this slow. Where I'm reading it is it's a little blurry because the words are tiny and I don't have my glasses. Funny story about my glasses, which I'll tell you the glasses story after this because I'm almost done. You'll have to track down who they are because now the information is leaked. I wonder who they are. Again, this is serious. I was terminated and left to die in a hospital, and meanwhile, you all tried to reinforce that by lying that you knew. My health insurance was terminated. You worthless, sick, effing people. I will attach that proof in upcoming D-class emails, which add fuel to the criminal proceedings, which will come next. No mercy. Number 3, attached are a bunch of records on estimate and emails and contracts. I have all records, and so do we, which is in parentheses again. Remember, there are a number of poison pills set which track what's next, so plan carefully, and thanks for firing me. Number 4, and now I have the effing evidence to tell that story, which happened to coincide coincidentally with me blogging for the last decade and setting effing traps for weak PUSSY criminals. Sorry, that's a weird word to say. That word doesn't feel good on my tongue when I say it, so I can't say that. But isn't that wild? Isn't that so wild? Because I know I just repeated myself, but it's just, I don't know how else to describe it than wild. Because what are the odds, that they mention that? Oh, what a crazy, crazy world. But what do you guys think about Project Looking Glass? Do you think it was actually a thing? Do you think yes to everything that I said today? You can comment. I think you can leave comments down below in the under each episode. You can leave wherever you leave a review, you can leave a comment. Also, if you want to leave a review, you can leave 5 stars. But you could leave a comment under this specific episode and then tell me what you think. Do you think that this is a thing? Or you can also find me on Facebook. It's just the podcast name. And same thing with Instagram. And then on TikTok and is my actual name. Kellyanne Rue. That's my last name. My last name is Rue, by the way. If you were wondering, maybe you shouldn't know my last name, actually. But now you do. So hello, friends. Also, don't look me up on Facebook, please. Or do. I'm sorry for that. But also, I just want to let you know, I didn't have time to do my coffee commercial or work on the pen pal stuff. I mean, I was working on the pen pal stuff, actually. Editing takes such a long time. I record on Mondays and then I have to have everything edited by Friday. And it's so long. But also, I love every minute of it, and it's so, so, so fun. But anyway, I'm going to put that Epstein file link in the show notes. So definitely click that if you want to read it, because that was wild. So for the pen pal thing, I'm working on getting a PO box, and then once I get that PO box, then I can do what I'm going to do with the pen pals. I'm just working some stuff out, and I'm so excited. You have no idea. I know I say like I'm excited a lot, but I'm so excited for just everything, to like be able to talk to you guys all the time and to do cool things. It just makes me really excited and happy, and I love it. I like it a lot. You know, when I say that, Amy's always like, where is that from? And I always say Dumb and Dumber because that's the one that I saw first. And Jim gets so mad at me. He's always like, no, it's Dumb and Dumber. Dumb and Dumber isn't even good, which... no, yes, it is. That's actually my favorite one. But anyway, I hope you liked this episode a lot. And if you did, I hope you tell a friend. Be like, come listen to the Babbles with Kelly, please. And then also click that 5th star button. But a shout out to the Screaming Podcast Network. Go check them out and give them a follow and all of that fun stuff, because they have some cool stuff over there, especially if you like horror. And it's Summerween. And it's going to be October soon, which Halloween started like yesterday. So, but also I know I said I'm super excited, and I'm also super excited for this next part because I get to tell you about the song of the week, and I'm excited. I'm excited all the time, but I'm extra excited because this guy has such like a soulful voice. Okay. And every time I listen to this song, I do the little shoulder shimmy thing. And I also do that thing that they call the stank face, which is probably why my lips like go down on the sides. I think they call it like wrinkles on my mouth, you know, on like the sides, the ends of my lips have wrinkles, and it's because of doing that face all the time. But I can't help it. If something's good, that is the face I make. And apparently it's like a generational thing. But anyway, this song is by Ian Elliott, and it's called Movie Screen. And if you're on TikTok and your algorithm shows you music, there is a good chance that you have come across this song. So go stream it and scream it, because the good Lord knows I do. Stay weird, stay curious, go be kind to someone for no reason, and go be amazing.
1, 2, ready, go.
Third life dropout in a tortured soul. Oh, my pride with a bell. If not for romance, I'd take radio, but I get ahead of myself. You walked in just the way I seen them on TV. Eden's verge around your waist. Imagine half the garden been dressed for you and me. A wild and natural love we surely made. I wouldn't give a thought to grander things, but honey, I just saw you levitate. Oh girl, you look just like my movie screen. Grab your things and we'll leave today. And don't worry now, we got our hopes and dreams to feed and love along the way. Oh girl, you look just like my movie screen. Grab your things and we'll leave today. And don't worry now, we got our hopes and dreams to feed and love along the way. Stealing eyes and trading telephones. You wrap me up when I'm almost gone. I wouldn't question it if you'd invite me home. Tell me to come and I'll come along. You ask if I'm tired as if I had a choice, but I'm wide awake and wired as can be. You say you love the Carolina in my voice, and you sing like California for me. And you'll be the nose my fingers toy, and I'll be every language that you speak. Oh girl, you look just like my movie screen. Grab your things and we'll leave today. And don't worry now, we got our hopes and dreams to feed and love along the way. Oh girl, you look just like my movie screen. Grab your things and we'll leave today. And don't worry now, we got our hopes and dreams to feed and love along the way.
There's never been a better time to get outside and experience the benefits of nature. Discover nearby trails and explore the outdoors with All Trails. Download the free app today and find your outside.